Sorry, it took me a little while with my short legs to get over here. Now, I am single, and when you hear how bad my jokes are, you will understand why. Now, obviously, I am American, and I'm sorry. More specifically, I'm from Kentucky, and I'm so very sorry. Now, you'll never meet anybody else from Kentucky because only 4 of us escaped. Now, of course, I got to do the Corona joke. Fucking mandatory. So, when this whole Corona quarantine started, I'm sure you guys all saw the footage of Americans fighting each other over toilet paper. Toilet paper! Not food, not water, not medicine, toilet paper. So now you understand how full of shit Americans are. Now, speaking of being full of shit, one thing that I have learned in my 46 years on this planet is people are idiots. People are idiots. To quote the legendary George Carlin, I do this stupid thing called thinking. So, for some reason, like, I take the train all the time. Before the quarantine, the vast majority of the time, the conductors were friendly. But for some reason, once quarantine started, the vast majority were assholes. I just kept encountering horrible conductors. To give you an example, I got on the train, I was only going 2 stops, a grand total of like 12 minutes. I had my place billet, so I just stood there by the doors. So, and I was right next to the room where the conductor sits. So, you know, she's coming through, she checks my visor ports, and then she asks for my place billet, and I give it to her. Now, first I've got to say that I speak enough Danish. I can have a conversation in Danish. But if I get in a confrontation with a Dane, I go straight to English. Just to piss him off that extra little bit. So this woman, you know, checked, and then she goes, "You need to go to your seat." And I'm like, I'm looking down the corridors, and I'm like, the train is full. I'm going 2 stops, 12 minutes. And then her next reaction was, "Well, fine, I'll get your virus." It's like, what? What are you talking about? And so then she goes back in her room, and she's like, I can understand what she's saying. She's saying it in Danish, but she's basically complaining about me to herself. In the room. So then she comes back out a couple minutes later. She starts just yelling at me about, I don't know, like, well, you gotta find your seat, and you know, it's separation, it's da-da-da. I'm like, and have you looked down the fucking cars? Like, DSP doesn't give a shit about separation. There's like 4 people at every table. Like, they don't really care. So then she goes back in her room, arguing. She comes back out, and before she can say anything, I said, "Okay, well, if you're so concerned, where's your mask and your gloves?" And then she just goes, and then just heads down the train. People are idiots. Okay, so the next one, and this is only like a week later. So, about once a week, I take my bike on the train. I go, again, like 2 stops. I had checked in with my passport, added my bicycle, been living here 10 years, doing that a countless number of times. Now, as I'm getting ready to get on the train, the conductor's like, "Do you have a place billet for your bicycle?" What? Like, okay, check my passport, I've checked in my bicycle, I have my quarantine place billet. So, but he's like, "No, you have to have one for your bicycle." What the fuck are you talking about? And so I get on, and again, I don't take my bike, I'm just standing there because I've got to get off in like 12 minutes. There's no reason for me to go in, lock up my bike, unlock it 10 minutes later, come back out. So he starts yelling at me that I have to have a place billet for my bicycle. And I'm just like, "Well, prove it to me. prove it to me. So he's like on his phone, like trying to look up, I don't know, DSP website, whatever, and he's getting frustrated. And I'm just sitting there looking at him like, all right, come on. I've got about 5 minutes till my stop, so you gonna prove your point before then? So then he gets frustrated. And now I'm, of course, standing right next to the car that has all the bicycles. So he goes in, grabs a guy, comes back out, tells the guy to explain to me why I need a plascolette for my bicycle. So I start trying to talk to the guy, and the conductor just constantly interrupts. He doesn't stop talking. And so after like 30 seconds, I'm like, would you shut the fuck up so I can talk to this guy? So he finally, and then I start talking to the guy, and the guy's like, yeah, I don't really know what he's talking about. And so the conductor's like, tell him. And the guy's like, why? And he's like, because you got a bicycle. No, I don't have a bicycle. So he had grabbed a totally wrong person, so he just, and then like, then goes off down the train. Now we were coming to, not my stop, the stop before, and he goes and grabs the fucking driver of the train, and brings him back. Now the train stopped, so basically he's stalling the train, just to have the conductor explain to me. So the conductor comes in, and he's just got this look on his face like, yeah, I hate this guy also. So he tells me, like, yeah, there's this weird rule that during like 6-7 weeks of summer, you're supposed, because there's so many tourists with bicycles, you're supposed to have a plascolette for your bicycle, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to know that? I look at the website, I bicycle, etc., etc. And he says, well, actually, you have to call DSP and get your plascolette. And I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? And he's like, he just rolled his eyes, and he's like, I know, it's a fucking headache for all of us. And the whole time, that conductor's just fuming, like red in the face. So the conductor has stalled the train a good 3 minutes, at least 3 minutes. So the driver walks away, and then I'm sitting there just smiling, like, what do you got to say now? And so the dude just like, you're never riding a train again while I'm on it. And I'm like, okay, how are you going to enforce that? And he's just, and then he just runs off. Again, people are idiots. Now, here's where I should tell a story about how I'm an idiot also, and, we're all idiots. But I have no stories because I'm perfect. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, give him an extra round of applause. It's always I really like an American accent. That's why he always reminds me of my year in Missouri. I think it's nice. That's a very good accent, I think. Remember when I lived there, it was I lived in college, and then I found a company over there. It was really nice, and then it was also from the south, so it was really